probably aware by now, the U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the entire world, meaning that for us, 1 in every 100 people are behind bars, and even more have been in the past. I've personally been following this topic for a while and have found the statistics of it to be incredibly absurd almost, and really interesting to follow. But this is something that everyone should be interested in and should look into, just because of these incredibly high rates. Because 1 in every 100 adults are in prison, and even more have been in prison, it most likely means that either you personally have been in prison yourself, or you know someone who has. And this should make this issue even more personal than it already is. And really the main issue is that prisons are overcrowded. And the best way to, some of the solutions for this would be to have, to first have less people going into prison, and then to have people cycle through it faster once they're already in it. Specifically, I'm personally going to talk about legalizing the drugs such as marijuana, and then reducing mandatory minimums and updating prison sentences. And as I said already, 2 million people are behind bars right now, which leads to prisons being incredibly overcrowded. An example of this is that in 1997, there was one guard to every 3.5 prisoners. Yet today, only about 15 years later, it's 1 guard to every 6.7 prisoners, which basically means double the amount of prisoners per guard. And this leads to prisons being therefore a lot less safe and a lot less guarded and a lot less attentive. However, a solution to this, the solutions can be broken down into 2 categories, as I already said. One being, the first to have less people going in, and this could be through legalizing drugs such as marijuana, and this is because approximately 50% of people in prison are there for nonviolent drug crimes, and therefore if you were to legalize the possession of marijuana, it would drastically decrease the amount of people going into prison. And then the second step would be to then have people cycling through prisons faster, and this could be through reducing mandatory minimums. Mandatory minimums are leading to people who have committed nonviolent crimes to being in prison for upwards of 30-40 years. And this is an incredibly harsh punishment for people who have, as I said, committed a nonviolent crime. And mandatory minimums have not in any way proven to reduce crime rates, so therefore reducing these harsh sentences would not increase crime, and it would keep people moving through the system faster. And then another way that we could keep the prisons from overcrowding would be to update prison sentences. And what I mean by this is that right now, if you committed a crime 5 years ago that would require 20 years in prison, right now a lot of these crimes have been updated, their sentences, and now that same crime might only require 7 years. However, the prison system does not go back and update criminals and update their sentences, meaning that people are serving sentences that are much longer than they are currently worth. So if we were to go back in and update this system and reduce these sentences, it would drastically decrease the amount of people in prison right now. So really, in conclusion, we do have the highest crime rate in the world, highest incarceration rate in the world. Yet we don't have the highest population. We're pretty small in comparison to a lot of other countries. Yet we do have the highest incarceration rate, and this should not be the case. And this does lead to our prisons being overcrowded. And we need to do things to reduce the amount of people in prison through less harsh sentencing and legalizing a lot of nonviolent crimes. Just as a parting thought, incarceration rates are going up, yet violent crime rates are going down. And shouldn't this therefore be reflected in the amount of people going to prison? Thank you.